Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a very simple question to start with, and it's just more of one of hope. Like, how do you, it seems like if you have no hope, there is no hope, but how do you maintain hope? You sound like you have some, that there will be a solution, and you've seen the reality on the ground for many years, and how hope keeps getting dashed. So I'm just wondering where you get it, and do you actually have it? And can you give us some?
Oh, I am full of hope, but I'm not very optimistic. And I make a clear distinction between hope and optimism. Optimism means I think if this changes, if this party gets elected, if this leader changes their mind, if we can reach so and so, then things will get better. That's optimism. I'm not optimistic. It looks very bad. Hope is a spiritual quality. It's almost religious, but it's not unfounded. It's based on a knowledge of the world, of history, of fate, maybe even of God. That things cannot continue this bad. This type of oppression cannot continue. And I remind people, 100 years ago, women didn't even have the vote in this country. And that's just 100 years ago.
Yeah.
100 years ago, African Americans were actually considered slaves, were considered property. They were not even considered human in this country. 50 years ago, the idea of equality, the idea of human rights, the idea of education for girls was like crazy. So I am full of hope because the kind of world we have cannot tolerate this type of oppression forever. It will change. I know it will change. The fact that, and I go back to the statement that I made, that with every possible advantage on their side, they have failed. They have not succeeded. We have not disappeared as a people. And the idea of Palestine and Palestinians has not been erased. They tried to erase it very, very hard. Even the word Palestine, Palestinian was like forbidden, verboten, taboo to even mention the word Palestine. But now it's very clear. It's there and it's powerful, and it's, you know, with every disadvantage on our side, we still continue to persist and to survive and even to thrive. So yes, I am full of hope.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thanks. So I see Celeste took her hand down, but Jesse, is your connection better? Would you like to ask your question again? Give it a try. You're muted, my dear. Oh. All right.
You're waiting for Jesse.
Go, Celeste, please.
Okay. So I'm sorry, I haven't read the entire book. I'm 4/5 of the way through. So I'm getting a lot of it, and I'm thinking of it as an amazing thought experiment. And so maybe you answer this in the last 20 pages, but how do we make this happen? I mean, you need a constitutional convention, you know, like, do you need an earthquake, some huge, what's the prime mover that would make this happen?
Okay. Excellent question. This book did start as a thought experiment. It did start as a vision. And to move from where we are to make it happen, I thought was another book. But then this question kept propping up. So I have one small chapter about steps that can be taken in that direction. It's true, between the vision and making it happen, is huge step. And there are at least two major obstacles that need to be overcome to make this happen. One, of course, is the clear imbalance of power between the two sides. I mean, the powerful are not going to just say, oh, wonderful idea, let's do it. They don't give up their privilege. The slave owners do not give up their slaves, and the empires do not give up their colonies just because they wake up one day and says, this is really terrible, we should give these people freedom. It doesn't happen that way. There has to be struggle, there has to be a cost, there has to be pressure, internal and external, for it to happen. So that's the one obstacle. But there's a second really huge obstacle, which I deal with in the book, which I call the Holocaust syndrome. The fact that Zionism got a lot of its power from the experience of the Holocaust. In fact, most Jews were not Zionists until the Holocaust came and said, it's survival. You need power. You need a Jewish state, otherwise you'll be annihilated. So people who have gone through the Holocaust become so traumatized that they need to be healed of that trauma. And until they are healed of that trauma, any reduction in their power or any challenge to their vision becomes a threat. Oh, it's the Holocaust again. We have to do everything to stop it. I know it's unfair. It's not enough that we are paying the price for the Holocaust. Our freedom requires that they be healed from that Holocaust syndrome before we are free. It's very unfair, but it's the truth.
I understand there are many obstacles, but what mechanism do you see for getting a new constitution? I mean, would this be an international organization that would, a new Oslo Accords? Would this be a constitutional convention? Would it be something?
There is the need for a constitution, and I do put a great weight on a constitution. The need for a constitution is that it's a written document that is impervious to change, that doesn't change every time there's a new election. Hello? And you get 2 more seats in the parliament, or the other side gets a few more percentage points of population, then they change the situation. The situation has to be stabilized by a constitution. But it's not the constitution that's going to create the new vision. The constitution will solidify and enforce an agreement that is reached. How will it be reached? I hope through non-violent means, but it may take something very traumatic. It may take a big I mean, in the United States, freeing the slave took a civil war and still didn't do the job very well. And in other parts of the world, it took a real, in Romania and other places, to get rid of the Iron Curtain and others. It may take major changes, and I don't know how it is going to come about. I do know that if we agree on a vision, it will need to be institutionalized and crystallized into a firm constitutional arrangement that doesn't change easily once we arrive at it. By the way, Khaled Tabasha, who's with us from Gaza, I think was also trying to raise his hand. So when he gets the chance, please give him a chance.
If Jesse Aweda can speak now, we'll hear from him, then Sergio, and then Khaled. And then we have questions in the chat we can go to then.
Okay.
Jesse, are you able to come through? We're still not hearing you, dear. You're muted again. Jesse.
I'm muted now.
No, okay, start over now.
Okay. Well, you know, we're looking at the future and possibilities because right now, as you have said, Israel has everything going for it. The Palestinians are losing things slowly but surely. Every day, every week, they lose something. And the question is, in a small way, to get Israel to do something to make them feel that they're gaining ground.
So I'm sorry, what was the question?
The question is, can we see Israel giving the Palestinians little goodie to make them feel that they are real and have a future?
No, there has to be pressure, and the pressure can be internal or external. But there has to be a pressure, there has to be costs, there has to be, it may take an international campaign, like with South Africa. It may take Israel becoming a totally pariah state, where they can't travel outside the country for fear of being arrested and hauled before an international tribunal. It may take a suspension of relations, of support. Israel is a very tiny country, unlike South Africa. It lives on constant help from the outside world. It cannot conduct trade, it cannot conduct sports, it cannot conduct education, it cannot conduct tourism. 1/3 of all Israelis travel every year just for tourism, for vacation. They have such a high standard of living, but they have nowhere to go. They need to go outside the country to entertain themselves. They need to join sports, so they're in Eurovision. They are in the FIFA, they are in the World Cup, they are in, they need the rest of the world. They can't live by themselves as an island. So yes, there has to be pressure brought upon them to come to a resolution. That is why the current situation now gives us a lot of hope, because there is increasing recognition that Israel is not the only democracy in the Middle East, that it's an oppressive apartheid regime, that it's failed to provide equality. For a long time, they said, oh, no, we have an equality. It's just, you know, the two-state solution. Once the Palestinians have their own state, the problem is solved. That is out of the question now. There is no two-state solution. So there's either apartheid, which is what it is, or some new form of government that gives Palestinians equality, which I'm trying to say that can be done without necessarily destroying everything.
What are your thoughts on the current government of Israel, Netanyahu and his people?
Oh, it's really horrible. The only good thing about it is that it exposes what we always knew was the case. This is a government that openly says, we only believe in self-determination for Jews. We believe that the land of Israel, the land in the West Bank, in the Galilee, in the Negev, should be Jewish and should be only for Jews. One of their ministers says, I am a fascist and a homophobe. So what? I'm a person of my word. People like me. So there is an openness now. There is no longer a subterfuge. There is no longer a mask or a pretense of being a liberal democracy anymore. And that paradoxically is a sign of hope.
Thank you. Sergio and then Khaled. Or Khaled, do you need to go now? Are you giving a symbol?
Unmute yourself, Khaled.
I can unmute him.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
No,
There he is. Tafadhal, Khaled.
no.
Thanks, Sergio, for letting us switch.
Can you hear me now? I'm not
Yes.
too much with the Zoom, by the way.
تفضل.
حياك الله. لا يعني I don't know what to talk about. If there is any question, because I live here in Gaza Strip, I was born here, you know. I'm 29 years old. I have enough experience here, you know. I have lived 5 wars, you know, and I have enough, you know. So I'm here if there is any question you would like to ask me, or anything, you know. If there is a specific thing you would like to ask me, you know. I think I'm here, you know. Because it's
Well,
the first time
Khaled,
for
we
me
are
in
glad
Zoom
that you are
trying
with
to talk.
us.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had a chance
Yeah.
to read the book. Can I talk to him in Arabic briefly?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
الكتاب تبعي بتقدر تنزله بالعربي وتقراه وبنحب نعرف شو رأيك عنه. يعني you can download it in Arabic. It is available in Arabic. So you
Okay,
can
that's
download it
fine.
from the website of Nonviolence International. I hope somebody will put
I will get it.
the site in the chat box. Get it, and I'd really like to hear your views about it and what other people
Okay, I
in
will.
Gaza think about it. Because I'm not allowed to go to Gaza. I have a
Yes, I know,
Jerusalem
but
ID. I can't go to Gaza, but at least we
yeah,
can
for
hear
sure.
from you.
Yeah, it's very hard to get into Gaza, you know.
I
Even
know.
many people tried before to come to Gaza. It's really impossible, you know. And you have to have a strong reason to enter Gaza. Like if you have a wife or if you have son or daughter here, that's you can't come for any reason, you know. And already you are Palestinian, and you know that.
I know that.
Yeah.
There's the link in the chat. Well, thank you also for joining us. That would have been my question. Had you read the book, I would have asked what your response was, living under occupation and reading these
Yeah.
ideas.
I think Sergio's next.
Sergio.
He has to be unmuted first.
There he is.
Good. Yeah. Jonathan, it's good to see you again. I saw you last in October 8th in Denver. You were great at the event. Anyway, yeah, I hear some hope in that the Jewish people may heal themselves from the trauma of the Holocaust as one of the potential, avenues towards a peaceful resolution. Now, taking into account that, as you were mentioning, that in fact 70% of the society believes that the land is given by God. So my question is now, on the one side, we're hopeful that they will be healed psychologically from the trauma. On the other side, are we expecting perhaps they would change their religion so that they can consider that the land is not necessarily given to the Jews by some divine decree? And I don't know, where does the Palestinian advocacy come into play? I mean, does knowledge mean anything? Does the fact that all of the sudden perhaps there's enough Palestinians like you that have spoken out and have demonstrated that Palestinians do exist, and where we were in fact deliberately taken out of our lands, and this is illegal under A, B, and C. But what else are we as Palestinians supposed to do in terms of changing the
That's two separate questions. Let's start with the first one, religion. In fact, religion has changed and does change. For many Jews, the Jewish religion has changed. It's no longer temple-based. It's no longer sacrifice-based. It's synagogue-based, and it's ethical and moral-based. That's why Jews could live in all different countries and thrive and be good members of the different societies they live in. So it's not necessary that religion is a bad element. It can be abused. And what Zionism does, and Zionism is a secular philosophy, it has abused religion. And it has tried to pull religion back in to justify what's basically settler colonialism. But religion can also be a positive thing, which is why I'm saying maybe what we need to do is modify Zionism and modify Palestinian nationalism so that it's no longer exclusive, so that you don't have to stop believing that you belong to the land. You just say, yeah, I belong to the land, but others also belong to it. Not the land belongs to me, because that's actually not a religious principle. The Torah does not teach that the land belongs to Jews. The land belongs to God. Even the most extreme religious Jews will tell you, God gave us this land to live in as long as we obey his commandments. It's not ours, it's his. So religion can, in fact, be a positive element in this. It doesn't have to be a negative element. I know Christian Zionists, much more so than Jewish Zionists, have this crazy idea that's similar to the doctrine of discovery. God gives us this land, we can kill all the natives because we are Christians and we can take it over. That's a doctrine of discovery. So Christians have been guilty of that type of use of religion to justify their own colonialism and their own imperialism. So religion can, in fact, serve as a positive thing. It's not necessarily a negative thing. The second part of your questions, what can we as Palestinians do? As Palestinians, we need to continue to resist. There is no question about it. But I'm saying that how do we resist, and what is the vision that we have for the future? The vision for the future is not a Palestine that's free of Jews. It's a Palestine that's free of oppression, that's free of colonialism, that's free of exclusivity. It's a Palestine that is open to its indigenous people, the Palestinians, but is also open to other people who, for whatever reason, religious or persecution or history or the UN or Balfour, somehow they feel it's theirs and they live there and they thrive there. And they're our neighbors now. We have to find a way to live together rather than to get rid of them. We can get rid of their supremacy and domination and colonialism, but we don't have to get rid of them. They can continue to live with it. So Palestinian nationalism needs to also change. We say Palestine Arabiya, but also there's 7 million non-Arabs living there. And they're going nowhere. And they can live with us, and we can live with them. This is the challenge. Can we, as Palestinian nationalists, and I am a Palestinian nationalist, can I change my nationalism to also accept and incorporate 7 million Jews living there? And the Israeli Zionists, can they change their Zionism to acknowledge that there are 7 million non-Jews living in this place that they want to be a Jewish state, so that their state has to be Jewish and Arab? And just like they want a right of return, we want our right of return also. Again, I'm not saying that the two are equal. I'm not saying that there's a symmetry between them, but I'm saying there is a need for us to incorporate the goals, the dreams, the identity of the other in our own vision moving forward, rather than insist on an exclusivist claim.
Thank you.
I love the way you treat both rights of return in the text. I don't know if you want to add a little bit more about that.
You know, morally, if Jews can claim a right of return after 2,000 years, why can't I return after 10 years, 20 years, 60 years? I still have my land. It's still registered in my name. I still have the key. I mean, who is to say that I don't belong, that I cannot return? Of course I can return. Now, maybe I choose not to return, but I have that right. And nobody can deny me that right. Just like Jews insist on a right of return because of their trauma, because of the Holocaust, because of anti-Semitism, because of whatever. So we Palestinians also insist on our right to return. Some of us may not exercise that right, but it's a right. And it's a valid right. And it's a legitimate right that needs to be recognized by both sides.
Thank you. Do you see any questions, Brenda? I'm looking through in the chat. I feel like you addressed how you feel about the current government, or if it's changed. The question in the chat on that was, has it changed your thinking in any way?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it has made my thinking all the more necessary and all the more realistic and all the more relevant. The biggest challenge I thought that I would get to the book was, no. We still must work for a two-state solution. They won't even give us a small 22%, and now you're asking for all of it. You're not being realistic. You're too idealistic. So I expected to get a lot of pushback from the two-state people. I actually didn't. It's amazing how little pushback I got from the two-state people. The biggest pushback I got was, you're too idealistic. This is utopian. Utopian is the word. It's a vision. And when I heard it once at Haifa University from Jewish students, they said this is too utopian. So I quoted to them what Herzl said, Theodor Herzl. He said, "Im tirtzu ein zu agada." If you wish it, if you will it, it is not a legend. It is not a dream. If you have the will to make it happen, you can. So it is a vision, and it is a idealistic vision, but it can happen if we really work on it. If we will it, if we have the political will, we can make it happen.
Yes, thank you. Mary Ellen wrote, she suggested you give a copy to every U.S. Congress person. Do you want to share the status of that?
Yes, I'm very pleased to say that through the efforts of, through the contributions of some people who bought the book, and the efforts of particularly Tom Getman, who used to be an assistant to Senator, I think it was Senator Hamilton in the past. Anyway, Tom Getman, who used to be a director of World Vision in the West Bank, in Palestine, in person took a copy of the book to each senator's office and talked with their assistants and gave it to them. So all 100 senators now have a copy of the book. He's starting to work now on the House of Representatives to go around and give them a copy of the book each. So yes, I think our political leaders are going to hear about this. The problem is the influence of money in our politics. Our politicians don't act based on what they read or even on what they believe. They act all too often based on who contributes more to their campaigns and who allows them to carry out their legislative goals and functions. And I'm sorry for those who don't like to hear it, but money talks in Washington in a way that is harmful to our democracy, not only on this issue, but on every other issue. Those who have money have influence in politics, and those like us who have principles have to work 10 times harder to get votes in instead of cash in to the politicians. And the politicians will listen to that. Say, look, I can't contribute, I can't give you $1 million, but I can get 1,000 people to come and vote for you in the next election. That counts.
Powerful. Mary Ellen, you want to ask another question?
Yes, thank you. And Jonathan, it's so good to see you. And thank you to the Novelist Sister Cities organizers for organizing this discussion. This is more of a comment. I think one of the great values of this book, because it is short, I won't say it's easy to read, but it's not like an academic study or it's very, if someone wants to read this book, they can read it and
no Latin footnotes.
and really grasp what you are putting forward. And it starts to get people off the fallback, which almost everyone in Congress has, of two-state solution. So as soon as they can see that is not, if you say that now, you don't actually support human rights for Palestinians, because there is no two-state solution. And this book explains that really clearly. So it will start to move, it will start to shift the terms of the discussion and the political proposals, so that people can't just fall back on saying that they support something that is not viable and it's not really an alternative. So I think the value of that, just even if an intern in any of those offices reads it and talks about it at lunch with the other interns, or, it just starts to move the discussion in the direction of actual human rights and not denying everyone's human rights. So thank you.
Yeah.
If you want to
Terry Burns is saying, when we say money talks, we risk giving an anti-Semitic trope that being called anti-Semitic. It's all about the Jeffersons. It turns into, oh, you're being anti-Semitic. And I try to qualify that by saying it's not just Jews and it's not just Zionists. It's everybody who tries to influence Congress through money, who are destroying our democracy, not just the issue of Israel-Palestine, but our entire democratic system is being undermined by this money. And yes, Zionists are openly saying, we use money to influence. We spent this much money on Congress. They say it. They don't hide it. This idea of using anti-Semitism is another discussion. But when they don't have an answer, they jump to anti-Semitism. They have no problem with anti-Semites, whether it's Trump or Orban or others. They have a problem with those who are anti-Zionists, who are against the state of Israel, not those who are anti-Semitic. In fact, they make good friends with the anti-Semites. I want to make it clear that anti-Semitism is wrong, of course. Hatred of Jews and Judaism is awful. It's actually the cause of our misery, and we are paying the price of that anti-Semitism. But we have to stand our grounds and not allow this type of argument to prevent a discussion on the merits, which is what we want.
I love your treatment of the way the two-state solution actually, because I've been like, it's crazy making. How come people are talking this way? And you make it very clear that it actually is the fuel for perpetuating the status quo.
Correct. correct. And I say this as a person who has supported the two-state solution for many, many years, and who worked for it and struggled for it. In fact, I believed in it before it became the official position of the United Nations and even of the PLO. I believed in the two-state solution as a compromise, as a pragmatic compromise. But the other side has systematically undermined it. Systematically.
Yeah.
While claiming to believe in it, they've systematically undermined it and made it no longer possible.
It was bizarre to grow up. We were always told growing up, when they create a Palestinian state, we'll move back, by our father.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's insane. We have another question here. Is there a need to make a differentiation of your message given the diversity of Palestinian demographics?
Absolutely not. And let me explain both the question and the reason for my answer. It is true that the Zionist movement has succeeded in fragmenting the Palestinian people. And each segment of the Palestinian people have been given a different set of challenges to deal with. Palestinians who are citizens of the State of Israel have been kept separate from the rest of the Palestinian people. They're Israeli, they're not Palestinian. No, they're Palestinian. People in Jerusalem have been kept separate from people in the West Bank. We are residents, they're not citizens. We have our own set of headaches to deal with. People in Gaza were told, you have a different problem. We don't deal with you. We're dealing with the West Bank and with the PA. You are Hamas and you are separate and you have a different set of problems. You have a siege, blockade. You have to worry about drones all the time dropping things on you. You have to worry about whether you have access to the sea, to the outside world. People in the West Bank were told, yes, you are Palestinians and you have to worry about whether you are in Area C, Area B, or Area A. And refugees were told, you're not our problem, you're the problem of the Arab world. You have to worry about whether you can live, whether you can be allowed to work in Lebanon, whether you're allowed to exist, what documents you use to travel on. Yes, we each have our separate set of problems to deal with. But my message is that is not something we accept as Palestinian people. We are one people. Fragmentation has been one of the tools that were used against us in order to keep us separate. We are one people, and the Israeli attempt to fragment us should be resisted by our unity, even though it's very hard. It's very hard. We can't even visit each other. We can't even physically travel. We can't marry across the boundaries because we're not allowed to live where our spouse is living. If in Gaza, I can't even visit Gaza. If you are outside the country, you're not even allowed to come in. Even if you have a foreign passport, sometimes you're denied entry. So we have different sets of obstacles that were placed before us. But the message, my message, for a genuinely free Palestine/Israel, country of equality, country of freedom, country of democracy, for both Israeli Jews and Palestinian Arabs, is a single country with equal rights for all. That does not distinguish between whether you are from the Galilee or from Jerusalem or from Gaza or a refugee. You are a Palestinian.
I think we have time for one, maybe two more questions. We're going to give our thanks, and Esria has a few sister city announcements at the very end. Do we have some more? Ardell? Yes.
It's Michael,
Michael, thank you.
her husband. Has the UN been at all helpful in trying to, I know the UN passed that, you know, the settlements were illegal, but has it in any way started to move away from the two-state solution, which is no longer possible, to upholding this new vision? Because I think it's very important.
The answer is not yet, not at all. The United Nations has been steadfast about the two-state solution because at that time it was a reasonable compromise. It made sense. And if there were no settlements, we could still be talking about it. My point and the premise of my book is that after 700,000 settlers have moved there, it's no longer realistic. We need to move ahead. Right now, there are two things that the United Nations is considering doing. One of them is the apartheid label, to label this as apartheid and therefore illegal, or to label the occupation itself as being illegal. Occupation is a temporary state of affairs. It happens during a war. You end up, you know, the armies move back and forth, and you end up in occupation, and you wait for peace so that everybody will return to wherever they came from. That is why it was so central for the UN not to accept the annexation of the Golan or of Jerusalem or of parts of the West Bank, because that defeats the whole purpose of the international order. So the UN has not been helpful on that score. And one of the reasons why many people hang on to the two-state paradigm is because international law gives you a number of tools when you think in terms of two states. But after a while, you have to say, it's no longer possible. We need to move forward. The real help that the United Nations can give is the Decolonization Committee. This is a colonial situation, and you need to decolonize Palestine. In my book, I recognize that this is a problem, but I also offer a solution to move beyond it. You know, you have 700,000 settlers, Jewish settlers living in the West Bank today. Physically, to remove them, physically to ask them to go back, it's just not realistic. They can't even move a few hundred families from an outpost that is illegal even under Israeli law. That makes no sense. Morally, ethically, politically, militarily, you can't even move them. So how are you going to move 700,000 people? It just doesn't make sense. So at some point you must say, all right, the egg has been scrambled to the point where you can't unscramble it anymore. Can we think of a new solution? Can we make an omelet out of it that everybody can enjoy? That is, I think, the premise of my book.
Thank you.
I really want to hear Susan's question. It'll probably have to be the last one.
Well, thank you. I'll try to formulate it. I'm thinking of the obstacles on the Israeli side. I've just learned Israel doesn't have a constitution.
Correct.
I didn't know. I'm sure you do. You know that. And I'm just thinking of the wielding of exceptional power to the religious, now we know very radical conservatives. They got so much of Israel, you know, by the, you know what's. So it's the people there are stuck. We've seen, you know, I don't know how many 100,000 people out on the street. So there's a lack of that democracy and power and access on that side. So I'm just wondering what thoughts you have on that.
Well,
as a-
that only, in my view, that was inevitable. That was going to happen sooner or later. The changes in Israeli society are not new. They are just the obvious. I wrote a little blog which I said the results of the elections were predictable, inevitable, and irreversible. You cannot rule over another people and hope to do it in the name of Jewishness
Indefinitely.
without dealing with, what does Jewishness mean? And who can define Jewishness other than the religious? You secular people don't know how to do it. So here's what the religious say Jewishness is. There's a new department that was created to define who is Jewishness and was given to the religious. And they define Jewishness in a way that's homophobic, that excludes a lot of secular people, a lot of Reform and conservative Jews are also excluded. And I think most Israelis are pulling their hair, including the secular ones. Unfortunately, they're not dealing with the Palestinian issue. They're dealing with a Jewish issue. How can the ruling Jews relate to each other in the name of Jewishness? Not how can they relate to Palestinians who are not Jews at all? And how can they include Palestinians? In my book, I suggest that the solution I propose gives Jews much more religious freedom than Israel gives them today. Because I happen to believe in separation of church and state. I happen to believe in a genuine democracy, which is not built on just 51% trampling the rights of everybody else. That's why I want a constitution that safeguards the rights of the individual as well as the minority, while allowing the majority to rule within very well established outlines. I think it's a vision that many Jews should be proud to follow, as well as many Palestinians. At least that is my hope, and that is the vision that I present. By the way, the book has now been translated not only to Arabic, but also to Hebrew. And next month, I am going to Palestine, Israel, and I hope to be distributing the book in Arabic and in Hebrew and discussing it with Israeli Jews as well as with other Palestinians in Arabic and in Hebrew, so that we can see what their reaction to it might be.
Wow, Jonathan, thank you. Shukran. Asriya, do you want me to, she's asked everybody to put their emails in the chat if you are interested in receiving information and notices about future book discussions, Palestinian film and cultural events, anything that the project engages in. Send me your email. You could write to admin@bouldernablus.org, or you could put your email here in the chat. There were some other really great questions in the chat. I'm sorry we didn't get to them. Rumi, thanks for those questions. Asriya, did you say anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to, say another couple of things. One is, so the next book discussion will be April or May. We haven't nailed down the exact date yet. And it will be a book written by Father Abuna Ilyas Shakur, who is a Melkite Archbishop Emeritus, and he wrote a book, We Belong to the Land, and we actually have a source of getting as many copies of the book for free as we want. So if you give me your email address, I will add you to our distribution list, and you can let us know if you would like a copy of We Belong to the Land by Ilyas Shakur. And so the date will be forthcoming. If you give us your email, it will notify you. And one other thing I just wanted to mention, if you haven't been to Palestine yet, and you're curious and interested, I am going to be leading a group this October 20th through the 28th. And again, if you give us your email address, I will let you know more details, or you can reach out through admin@bouldernalis.org and just let me know that you're interested, and I can fill you in on the details. What else? I think that's it. Brenda, is there anything else we wanted to impart?
I can't think of anything. I was writing down emails. Thank you. I just wanted to thank Jonathan for such a great thought-provoking talk. And I really appreciated all the great questions people had. And thanks for being with us.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
for a great book, Jonathan.
Thank you so much for your wisdom and joining us. And
Thanks to all of you.
Mhm.
All right. Yay. Good night, everyone.
And we'll see you at one of these events again soon, inshallah.
Jonathan, I hope our paths cross soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Bye.
everything. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Brenda, I saved the chat, so I can.
Oh,
just send it
I
to you.
knew there was a way of doing that.